beginning of the school year in August, at the latest January 1st, or they're out of the classroom.
Understood. Right now, I think it's the all year they have the option.
I think at this moment, though, from what we witnessed earlier today, it was disheartening for me to see us put any student in that position to where we're compromising the not having sufficient training and having staff around these children. It's compromising the student. So I think that that's up to us, and I think that we're failing on that part. I think that we definitely should change our policy. I do agree with Mr. Johnson that they should not be in the room and have direct contact with students until they've had the sufficient training to where that they know what they can and can't do and what's expected of them, because it's on us and the staff and the administration and everybody to make sure that everybody has had it done. As we saw earlier, they didn't even know about it, so they say, and no one's checking. It's just, I don't think the checks and balances, I feel that we're falling short on that, and I think we could do better.
Why wait the whole 6 months? Why not make them do it the first week of school?
That's how I feel.
I think we should have it the first week of school.
With the students, and they're going to be in direct contact, they should have to have sufficient training to where we would never be put in that position again.
Preschool.
Today. That should never have to happen.
I don't disagree that they should be trained, but I just want to make clear today that the issue that we talked about today earlier, that employee had the required training.
I would like that annual.
It wasn't this year, but they had it before.
But Ms. Hawkins, I honestly agree with you that it should be done the first week of school before the kids come in, that week before. I agree wholeheartedly. I was just giving it leeway because I've been told it's offered 3 or 4 times a year. So if we make it mandatory that every August, the first week of every school year, they have to take that training, that would be beautiful in my mind. That is the ideal solution.
But as evidence presented itself today, apparently, even though they've had training a year ago, they needed to have a refresher course because out of sight, out of mind. And I think that that's imperative, and it's important that they, going back into being around this delicate situation with these students, that they should definitely have to have that on the forefront of their mind so that they're able to deal with these kids accordingly.
Ms. Bonzik?
I would agree, but what I will say is, unfortunately, I don't think any amount of training would help the situation we've seen today, first off. Second off, I think that she's used to dealing with much larger children, so that probably had a play in what happened. With that being said, I do believe that our ESC subs, our ESC paras, our ESC teachers, I believe all our staff should have some training on how to deal with special needs kids. At some point, they all have to deal with them, and some meltdowns don't just happen at certain places. Things don't just happen in a classroom. They're happening in the lunchroom. They're happening walking to specials. They're happening when we change, because change for kids like that is a lot. So there are things that at some point, our seasoned ESC teachers don't need the training because they know they've lived it for many years and they know how to de-escalate situations and do things. So sometimes we're wasting our time on retraining them and making them retrain, because guess what? They deal with it all the time and they know. We're not having them sit at our board for that appeal. So with that being said, do I agree with training? Absolutely, 100%. But I think all our staff need training.
I think the refreshers are good, though, Michelle, even with a seasoned teacher who knows instinctively what to do. There may be a change in the law. There may be a change in how I'm going to say the mental health experts decide things should be handled. They may change from time to time. So I think an ongoing training is important. And I agree with you with the rest of the staff. Maybe what I was thinking is the rest of the staff would have until January 1st to do it, and you have your ESC and your paras in the classroom. They need to have it by the first week of school, as Ms. Hawkins was saying. That's probably a good compromise and gives it time for the rest of the staff to get to it with their other duties. That might be a solution.
So, Mrs. Cropley, can you get with Anna and see if they're able to offer that? It's probably not preschool week, because preschool week paras are not there. They're not there during preschool. So it would have to be probably by the first half day, when is the first half day? usually, isn't it in September? So either beforehand or by the first half day, I think is reasonable amount of time. If they're returning. If they're a new employee, then yes, they should have the training before they start, some training.
And I think there should be a separation of the new people to the veteran teachers. I also don't want to add more trainings upon trainings. If you learn to ride the bike, you don't need to put the training wheels back on. They're off. They don't need to go back on every year. So I think we need to be careful and be mindful of that. I understand, Mr. Johnson, what you're saying, that policies can change. Different rules are set by lawmakers and they have to abide. But I think bulletins can go out for things like that. But I don't know that we need to there's not one size doesn't fit all. So we have to be careful of that too, because I don't want to be cumbersome and add more trainings on and open that door either. I just want to be careful that when we have new people, paras especially, whoever that has not been seasoned and they've not been in the industry, they have not been dealing with this type of thing, that they know everything that is required of them and what they're supposed to do. And I think that we could do better. I think that every district could. It's not a lack of that we're not trying per se. I just think that sometimes we're missing the mark. I think that we need to make sure that they know what they're supposed to be doing and what they can and can't do before they're in the room, and we put them in there for all these months up until now. For instance, the teacher that we saw earlier, it's been, how long have we had school this year? And still, so far, to no avail, the training has not happened.
Well,
Ms. Cropley, do you want to
my point
chime
is
in?
some of that training can be done, online, especially for the seasoned teachers. So that shouldn't be too burdensome or long.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Cropley.
We do have the para training, as you apparently saw the list. I do know, I think the calendar committee did reduce the number of half days by 1 this year, so those are diminishing. And we try to offer the trainings for the paras on the half days, and we have a pretty good turnout of that. Our paras work the days that students are in school, so it doesn't give a lot of time for them outside of the school day with students in order to participate in additional trainings. We offer it, they can do it voluntarily. Outside of the required annual trainings through HR, there isn't any additional requirements, although we can and have worked on plans to offer them, because even on their evaluation, there's a section for, continuing your professional learning, that type of thing. So we've targeted that group and tried to offer them some things that
So maybe we make it mandatory they take a half-day training. If the kids leave and they're in school for half the day, pay them for the extra couple hours, give them the training, they're done at the end of the first half day. Done deal.
Well, we already pay them for the half days.
Right.
They're employed those days.
They
don't
are,
go
and a
home
lot
on
of the
those days.
schools on those half days have school-wide trainings, safety, things like that they're required to attend. So we're kind of competing with a few different things, but I agree with you. The more we can give them, the better it is.
Is more important than school safety, and they're both important, but our charge is to take care of the students first. So if we're not doing that, we're doing something wrong, and it needs to change.
Lisa, how many ESC classrooms do we have? Do you know off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my
Not
head.
off the top of your head.
But I do know, I want to say we have about 150 paras.
Okay.
Working on something on that right now, so.
Okay. Would it be something that maybe we can look at going in to the classrooms and train? You know what I'm saying? I don't know, and I don't want to add more.
Like hands-on.
Hands-on, where we have district staff go in and actually train, say we hit Deltona. Say we hit each school, ding, 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 at the first part of start. Would that be something that's feasible with you guys?
We can look into it.
Okay.
As long as we have all of our instructional specialists in place, for sure.
Right, okay.
Because those are the people. We have 3 instructional specialist positions. 2 of them are filled right now. One of them also does the assessment. So they're the ones that really support the paras and the teachers right now in the self-contained resource rooms, but we're kind of down to 1 of those. So they are the ones that do the training for the paras.
And I would suggest maybe even trying to look at our resource that's at our school levels, right? To
Right.
go in and train, but
Yeah,
And
we
I-
can definitely work on something
I would like
during,
to
even
see-
during the school day when they're there, treating it like a teacher and their professional learning during the day that they have to do. So we can definitely work something.
Something we can work.
We're apparently doing something wrong if we're coming up with more than one situation reaching us. So if we're doing something wrong, we need to correct it.
Mr. Pender?
So I just want to reiterate that what came to us today, that person had the training, was trained. And I just want to make
But
that
they
clear.
were not, but
It-
they did not have their training for this year.
For this
It's the
year,
same
but
training
yeah,
we
it
had
doesn't
last
matter.
I know, but what I'm saying is they're not a veteran and they've not been doing this for a long
I'm
time.
not saying that they shouldn't have training. That's not what I'm saying. I just want to make
Clear
or-
that they had training. And again, that's why I'm saying,
that we didn't
Lisa,
have somebody
to
in the
bring
classroom
somebody
that wasn't
in
trained.
district-wide or somebody, again, I could put 100 people in front of a computer and have them look at a training, and it doesn't mean they're going to be able to handle a situation with disabled children. So those that sit in my district office that deal with it, that know, those are the ones I'm saying, can we get some kind of more hands-on training per classroom? Because every child, just like you stated, Ms. Rodriguez, every incident, every child, every classroom is different. So it's really looking at that one classroom and saying what's going on and focusing on it.
So I'll get with Lisa and PD, Paula, ESC, find out what trainings we offer, and I'll let you guys know with a list of trainings. And if you want to bring, once you send that email and what our proposal is, then if you want to talk about that at the next informal, then we can talk about it there, or we can put it on a workshop, whatever you want to do.
And sometimes these trainings may not be effective depending on
Yeah.
exactly how we're doing it. Because like we saw earlier today, and the point is being made that she's had the training a year ago. She's a parent. So at the end of the day, this is not her world. This isn't what she's been doing for years and years and years. She's not a veteran. This doesn't come second nature. So once again, we're sitting here in January, and this teacher has not, this year to date, since school started in August to January, this teacher has not had a refresher course on any of the subject matters. She also explained that, she's not on different platforms and this and that to figure it out, to know this, to know that. I almost feel like, everything's not in one category. We have to understand that the teachers that do it all the time, once again, I don't think that they have to go through that redundant training of your basics, of all your stuff. I think that's not fair to them. But I do think we have to get a hold of the paras, and when you've had it a year ago, or more than a year, say a year and a half at this point, then a lot of times out of sight, out of mind, and this isn't second nature to them, so they're not real sure what they're doing all the time and what they can and can't do. So I just think we need to sharpen up our skills, because if the training was effective and working, I don't think we would see half the problems that we see. So we do have to try to figure that out. But once again, this isn't our lane per se. It's up to you guys, but we just want to put it out there to you and convey what's happening in the emails that we get and the situations that arise, and then tell you so that we can all work together, and then you guys can decide what would be the best interest for the training and how and when and what would be more efficient and what would the outcome would be for the student. I just want basically the children to be able to be in a room with people who have some sort of training and education so that they know what they're doing, opposed to someone in there that has no clue.
But if you remember listening to the one lady, it was a question of was that touching necessary for the safety of the child in the classroom or not? That's basic. That she should
Common
know.
sense. It was common sense, and she
That's-
didn't have
yeah,
any.
so,
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
The training somehow failed.
Okay. Any more discussion on the training? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, any other board members have topics to discuss? No? Ms. Munzik? No? Okay, I do. I just have one.
Seems so happy
so-
about it.
Well, it's kind of exciting. So all of us received an email for the mobile safe zone, and then I had Kelly send the email about it and a link. I don't know if anyone looked at it, but the mobile safe zone, it's to deal with cell phones. So within the school, did you look at that? It looks amazing. So it's almost, in my mind, it almost is like those invisible fence, for like an animal, but it's for cell phones. So kind of. So in the school, they can set it up where in the perimeter, certain areas of the school, the children aren't allowed to use their cell phone. They can use the cell phone to call 911, like emergency phone calls, and it also said for certain apps and platforms that we could give them access to use. So I know that we hear the cry all the time from teachers, from families about the cell phone issue at school. They're still using their phones constantly, and it's a distraction. So therefore, the mobile safe zone, I would love for Mr. Pender to reach out, find out more information, the cost, the exact details, and is it worth doing a workshop on, because I think it sounds amazing and would solve a lot of issues. We wouldn't have to collect cell phones. We wouldn't have the headache of the children constantly on their phone and teachers wondering if they're really, doing the assignment that they
It's like
ask them to do.
geofencing.
It's like geofencing, correct?
So I won't be liked for this, but I disagree on.
That's okay.
Yes, I disagree on any of this. I think that, at this point in time, we're moving into AI and all of the above, and we're not going backwards. So we're only moving forward with this world and what we're doing with devices and technology and phones and what have you. I think that regardless, children have to be accountable, and they have to cause and effect, and what they choose to do that's against our rules, against the teacher's rules, against whoever, is the administration and whatever policy they put forth, I think then they have that consequence. And to basically say that we jam all their phones and they can't use it, if there's a crisis, if there's something serious, as a mom of 4 girls and in the school system, I want, God forbid, and I hate to even utter it off my mouth, but if something were to happen that's detrimental, that's serious, I want my child to be able to reach out to me, regardless if you come back with, well, you're going to have Parent Square, you're going to have this. I also know that sometimes that doesn't happen simultaneously, immediately. It takes quite a while before I would ever even know. And as a mom, I definitely am advocating for the community and for all the other parents and for all the other students that I think they should have to be accountable for their actions, be in trouble if they disobey, 1,000%, I agree. But basically to take away that safe net for a parent, that's a big deal. And to me, it's hard. And then when are you gonna lift it? I guess, I'm sure there's things that will fix this, what I'm about to say, but come sports and school and the end of school and all the above. But at the end of the day, no, me as a parent, it makes me feel safer. It makes me feel more calm to know that my child has the phone. If they ever had to reach me, that they could. I don't like to take all that away across the board and jam their phone to where they have no phones. And I also think that it's not teaching responsibility. I think